welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I am a part-time reseller on Poshmark, and in today's video I wanted to talk about my January month on Poshmark as a part-time reseller. I want to break it down in how many sales I made, what brands sold the most, how many items I listed, what I did this month, and how it differed from previous months, and actually tell you that I had a record high month for myself. And so I want to tell you all my little secrets that I followed this month that really helped me have a lot more success, and I swear by a lot of these things. And so if you want to have success like this, then you should definitely follow these tips. I took all the screenshots from my Posh Insights on the app, and basically I'm going to break down everything and show you all the stats. And so if this is something that you're interested in, definitely keep watching. And without further ado, let's get right into the video, and also make sure that you're subscribed because you don't want to miss these future videos that I do. So first off, I want to start by letting you know what it means to be a part-time reseller. For me, I have a full-time job outside of reselling, and so I do this on the side. I do a couple hours each day, and if it would be interesting for you to see a video on like what I do, the day in the life of a part-time reseller, I could definitely make that video at sometime in the future. But I spend a couple of hours each day. I do some listings, I do some drafts, I go to the thrift store every couple of weeks. Last year it was like every couple of months. I'm trying to go more this year. And I upload 5 items every single day to the app as new items, and I relist 5 items every single day. So I don't know, a lot of other people have more time on their hands, but like I don't have a lot of time. I do all my sharing with my bot on Poshmark. I use Posher VA, and I do a little bit of sharing myself, but I really don't do much for that. But what I do on a day-to-day basis for Poshmark is I add new items, I do measurements, I write the descriptions, and I'm having my closet share, and I'll be packaging items. So I'm not designating a lot of time to the app, but I am doing a lot more than when I would do it kind of just as a side hustle, just kind of uploading whenever I wanted. If you are a part-time reseller and you don't have a lot of time like I do, these numbers might be familiar to you. You might have a little bit less, you might have a little bit more, but most of the time, part-time resellers don't have a lot of time to invest. So my earnings as a part-time reseller might not be that great compared to some of you that maybe do this full-time, or maybe that are part-time but just have more success. But for me, this is great, and this is a big improvement from last year. And actually, I more than doubled what I made last January, so I'm pretty ecstatic about that. And so let me go right into, the stats, and I'll start talking about how the month was for myself. For the month of January, I sold 61 listings and I made about $1,500. And for me, like I said, this was a record high for a given month, and it wasn't a record high on number of sales, but it was a record high on, the amount that I earned. And this is not what I actually took home. This is what I made in those sales. Obviously, what I took home is a little bit less than that because of Posh fees and discounted shipping and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm really happy with this because a lot of times last year, I wasn't even breaking 1,000 in a month. And I think my record last year was about 1,200. So I'm pretty happy with this, and I can definitely see this going up in the near future. So in terms of my sales throughout the month, they were pretty consistent. I'll show you the graph. They were pretty consistent overall. It may look a little bit skewed because I had days where I had like really high sales. I had a couple of days where I had sales over 100 or, over a couple hundred. I think one day I hit like almost $300 in sales. So it was consistent in a sense. I had sales coming in pretty much every day, but it wasn't consistent the amount that I was making each day. So that's why it looks a little skewed. I think there was only a handful of days throughout the month that I didn't make any sales. In months past, I had a lot of times where I was not making sales for a couple of days, maybe even a week. But because I've started being way more consistent and I'm uploading every single day, I'm relisting every single day, I'm sharing pretty much to the max, I'm making more of those sales. So it's really helping making those sales come in more consistently. So if you're wondering why your sales are not really consistent, why you're not making sales for a couple weeks straight, you're probably not doing these 3 things, and that's probably why this is happening for you. So let's dive into the next screenshot, which is listings sold per day. So again, this is a little bit inconsistent, but it's still consistent overall in terms of, having made listings sold every single day. So I didn't make a consistent amount of sales every day. It kind of ranged. I'd say on average it was maybe 1 to 2, but there were days where I hit up to like 5 or 6 sales. So it was inconsistent in that sense, but I actually found that the days that I made more sales, the sales just kept coming in. So it would be like I'd get 2 sales and then I'd get another one and then I'd get another one, and it was like back to back. And I think that's just how the algorithm works. Once you start making sales, it kind of just keeps working in your favor. So it's really important in those times to be consistent and keep doing those things, because that's what's going to keep helping those sales come in for you. So looking at this month in comparison to December of 2022, you can clearly see on this graph that January was way better for me and overall was an upward trend from December. December, I had couple weeks and couple days here and there where I wasn't making sales and I wasn't really uploading every single day, and that really shows. So if you're going to take away anything from this video, it is definitely to make sure that you are doing this every single day, listing daily, relisting daily, and sharing every single day. These are going to help you have those consistent sales and not have, you know, high sales one day, no sales, no sales, no sales. It's going to help you have way more consistent sales overall. Okay, so let's talk about the top brands that sold for me in the month of January. So for me, I made the most money from UGG and Coach, and this just so happens to be from a couple purchases. So I sold a couple of pairs of boots, and so that right there kind of took the earnings, you know, away from the other categories because I sold them a lot higher. I think I sold a couple pair, I think maybe 2 or 3 pairs of Uggs throughout the month, and they were all over $100. So that right there is a lot of money. And then I also sold a lot of Coach because I have a lot of Coach accessories. I have scarves, I have handbags, and I've also rain boots as well. So like Coach items sell really well for me, and I always swear by picking Coach up. So those were my top selling brands. The next top selling brand after that was actually Reformation, and that was actually a dress that I sold for somebody else that they gave me to sell for them. That one I sold for a little over $100 as well. So those were my top 3 brands, but you know, there was a lot of honorable mentions that came after that. So just a few more honorable mentions after those top 3. We have American Eagle, we have Vans, we have Madewell, and we also have Old Navy actually, which is shocking because I always swear by not picking up Old Navy, but when you get it at a really discounted price, or when you get it for free, it's worth picking up. So these were like some of my top brands, and as you'll see in the screenshot, there's actually more brands than those, but a lot of those brands were like one-off sales that I made that just so happened to sell for a good amount. So I don't really recommend picking up some of these one-off brands unless you get them like really cheap. So this is just kind of an insight of all my brands. But in terms of the number of listings sold for each brand, American Eagle was actually my highest sold brand in terms of a different amount of listings sold. So this I've been saying from the start that American Eagle is one of my best selling brands. This brand sells really well for me overall, and basically I can't seem to keep it in my closet. So I sell a lot of jeans actually, because I actually wear a lot of American Eagle jeans and I also thrift a lot of them. And so they sell really quickly for me, so I swear by picking them up. But I also pick up other items from them. I've sold jackets, I've sold shirts, I've sold dresses and rompers, I've sold shoes. I pretty much sell anything American Eagle, and it will normally sell pretty well for me. Okay, so for the closet insights in terms of sales for the month, women's apparel was definitely my highest. I sold very minimal men's and very minimal elsewhere on Poshmark. Most of my sales came from women's clothing, which makes sense because that is on par with my normal closet. I actually do sell mostly women's. I do have an occasional, you know, group of small men's items, and I have a very small amount of kids items and a very small amount of home items as well, but women's is definitely my top selling category on Poshmark. Okay, now in terms of the condition of the items that I sold this month, about 81% of my items were not new with tag, and about 18% were new with tag. So this is kind of interesting to see because I do have a lot of new with tags items in my closet, but I do mostly sell not new with tag because I think they're just easier to find, and also just because I had some that I had secondhand or that I picked up at thrift stores. So this is just interesting to see, and I'm not really going to change my habits of picking up certain things at the thrift stores. If I find something that's new with tag, I will definitely sell it, but it's interesting to see that most of my sales, about 81 to 82%, are from new with tag or not new with tag items. So the next category that's fun to look at is how your sales are being made. So most of my sales actually come from offers, and I've actually said this in prior videos, but I really think it's important to send out offers on Poshmark because that is where a majority of my sales come from. And actually about 80% of my sales on Poshmark come from offers. So this is either from somebody sending an offer to me or me sending out an offer to them. And I have made some sales from bundle offers or just from, you know, bundling and, you know, then sending me an offer, but I have not made any sales this month from buy now, which I would like to increase that in the future. I know it's, you know, it's a great thing to get something sold full price. It's a wonderful feeling to do, you know, the buy now, but I actually didn't make any sales from that this month, but I would definitely try to do that going forward in February. Okay, so now that we talked about all the sales and the fun stuff about all the stuff that I've earned, let's talk about how I've improved my closet over the month of January, because it's also important to note that you want to make sure that you're adding items to your closet. This is going to help you bring in more sales. So I've actually added 300 total items to my closet since the beginning of the year. So I started the year with about 200 items or so, maybe give or take a little bit more or less. Now I'm at over 400. And so that just goes to show that I've basically doubled my closet size. Now, I've also sold some items here and there, so that's why the numbers don't really completely add up, but it's really nice to see that I've actually doubled my closet size. Now, it's a lot harder to store everything and it's a lot harder to keep up, but it's so important to be doing this, and you can see that I've consistently added items every single day, and I've added, you know, anywhere from 4 to 6 items every single day, and that really helps me stay consistent with my sales. And as you can see in this graph, you could tell that it was a lot more consistent than prior months, because you could see that I wasn't really adding the same amount every day, and I wasn't adding that much every day, or some days I wasn't adding anything at all. So this is really important to see, and I actually love that I could see that I wasn't consistent before, and that I could see that I was consistent this month, and it actually paid off. So it's so important to make sure that you are being consistent. The next couple of graphs are just going to go through the inventory that I have, the brands insight that I have of all the things that I've added in my inventory, what brands I have the most of right now. Coach is the most amount of money because I do have a lot of Coach bags still in my closet. You will also see the average price of each item that I have listed and what brands are the highest. These aren't really as important to me because I don't really go by that, because a lot of times I will send out offers, so it will actually differ. And then you can actually see my available listings right now. I do have the most of American Eagle, and like I said, they do sell the best for me. They are my top selling brand ever on Poshmark, so I do have the most in my closet, and I will continue to source that because it will continue to bring in sales for me. And in terms of the items that I have listed this month, I have listed the most amount of women's clothing, but that is also on par because I have sold the most amount of women's, so I'm continuing to add more and more women's. I am, however, also adding more and more men's and kids, but I'm trying to, you know, focus on what I'm good at, and what I'm good at is selling women's clothing, so I'm going to continue to add that into my closet. So that is a wrap on all of my stats in the Poshmark Closet Insights. This was really helpful to analyze my January month for me as a part-time reseller. I'm very curious how January was for you, because I heard a lot of people say January was good and January wasn't good, and I'm just kind of curious because I know we're all at different points in our businesses, and I've seen a lot of people post that they've made, you know, just as much as I made in the entire month in one day, and some people had made less, some people had made more. So I'm just kind of curious how January was for you, and so I want to know down below how the month was for you. You could tell me how much you made, or you can just tell me if it was good or bad. I don't really need to know everything if you don't want to share that, but I just wanted to be open and transparent with you because a lot of people online can make it seem like you can make a lot more money, and for me this was great and I was really happy with it, but like maybe to somebody else that would be a really bad month. But it's all personal to us, so we're all doing our best, so we're all doing great, and wherever you are and however much money you made in January is awesome. And so I don't want this video to come across as like you didn't do well if you made less than me, because you certainly did. A lot of us don't have time to designate to doing listings every day and being active, and a lot of us have a lot of outside, you know, things going on. So I totally understand if you don't have time to do all these things, but I definitely just wanted to make this video to let you know how much a part-time reseller actually makes in a month and what a part-time reseller means to me, because for me, these things are what I did to make that money during the month. So everyone's numbers are going to be different, and you don't need to compare yourself to others, but I just wanted to give anyone who is starting out on Poshmark as a part-time reseller kind of like a rundown of what it's like to, you know, make sales. And obviously, like I said, this month was really good for me, so I'm curious to see how February will be. We're actually a few days into the month already, and it's kind of started pretty well. But I guess we'll do a recap every single month, kind of compare each month to the prior months, and kind of see at the end of the year what months were the best, and see if we could see any trends, because I actually thought that a lot of people were going to start making more purchases in January because they had a lot of money from the holidays. You know, they may have spent a lot on the holidays, but they also got money as gifts and stuff like that. So people were buying things, and it was a fresh year, so people wanted fresh wardrobes. So I'm curious to see if February will be the same or if it'll be slower. But I'm just curious, and I want to start this new series for this year to kind of go through each month and do a recap. So let me know if you like this down below, and let me know if this is something that you want to see for each month, if that would be helpful for you. And like I said, also let me know down below how January was for you, because I'm totally curious. But if you want to see another video on things that you should and shouldn't do on Poshmark, you can click right here. And if you want to see reselling hacks that you should totally try out that are really beneficial, you can click right here. But until next time, I'll see you then.